Hello, my name is Maggie McCarney. I have a background as an occupational therapist and I currently work as a complementary therapist and yoga teacher. The purpose of this presentation is to look at ways to manage fatigue. So the aims of this talk are to acknowledge that fatigue is a recognised issue for many people, to help you identify the levels of your fatigue and recognize that this may vary during the day or from day to day, and to consider the impact that fatigue is having on your daily life. And from that, then to identify strategies to help you manage the fatigue you are experiencing. So, what is cancer-related fatigue? Most people that are receiving cancer treatment experience fatigue at one time or another. It is a general term that is used to describe a wide variety of symptoms, and this varies from person to person. It is different than feeling tired after not getting enough rest, and this can make it difficult for family and friends to understand what you are experiencing. It interferes with your daily life, and it doesn't necessarily match the level of activity that you're carrying out. It doesn't often improve with rest, and as I've said, each individual will experience it differently. So some common symptoms of cancer-related fatigue. So you can see in the chart here that there are many different ways that fatigue can affect people. It can affect people on a physical level or on a mental level, or maybe both. It may be that your concentration is affected, your memory, you may feel pain and nausea, and it can often be a total feeling of exhaustion physically in your body. So causes of cancer-related fatigue include the cancer itself, the tests and investigations that you may have had to go through, the treatments for the cancer. It may be down to anemia, where you have low levels of red blood cells in your blood. It could be due or contributed to the emotional effects of the cancer, including experiencing anxiety or depression. It may also be contributed to with poor appetite because of the cancer or the side effects of the treatment. And symptoms like pain and breathlessness or fluid retention can also add to the fatigue. So have a little look at this chart and see where you would place yourself at the moment in terms of how fatigue is affecting you. So you'll see at 0, it's where there's no fatigue, and then it moves up into mild, moderate, extreme, or the worst fatigue. And it's important to acknowledge that this fatigue can vary during the day. So there may be times that you have more energy than others. And it's good to start building up a picture of how the fatigue affects you as the day goes on. So the impact of fatigue, as we've said, it can have many different presentations, and often people get into a cycle. So here we have sort of a symbol of how this can happen. So it can be that physical exhaustion is there with maybe pain or discomfort and unpredictable symptoms. Your sleep might be disturbed, and that can obviously impact then on your concentration and attention. That then can lead to changing, altered thinking, so that it starts to have a negative impact on how you think and how you cope with all of this. And then that can impact on your emotions. Whenever this cycle starts, then people often find that their behavior and how they deal with the fatigue can be changed. So people get into a pattern of what they call boom or bust, where they do a lot of activities on the days that they feel well with lots of energy, with the result that maybe for a few days later, they're not able to do very much. So it's important to recognize if this is going on for you so that you can get to break into this cycle. And what we're going to talk about in this presentation is really to aim to break into this cycle where the impact is having on your life. So the human battery, if you see yourself as having a certain level of energy, and when you have cancer-related fatigue, the energy levels are not what you normally would have. So take time now, maybe with a pen and paper, or just to have a think about what is it that drains your battery. And this helps you build up a picture of what are the things that are taking away your energy, and then prioritizing what things that you want to use your energy on. So this may be things like dealing with stress. It may be the roles and responsibilities within your family, within your work are draining your resources. Maybe anxiety, fighting infections, going for the treatments can be very exhausting. Appointments and reviews can also take quite a bit of energy. So take note of what it is that actually takes away your energy. And then on the other side of that, start to think about what it is that actually builds up your energy. So what things help you to gather more energy and help you make it through the day. And this is also important because then you can balance and restore your energy to help you meet the demands of your daily life. So things like relaxation, getting a good night's sleep, good nutrition, doing things that are fun for you, exercise, having medication that helps with any symptoms you're having, talking, whether it's to friends or maybe to a counsellor or a psychologist, and socialising may all be ways that help to restore your energy. So again, really take time to think about what it is that you can do to help build up your energy levels. Aromatherapy is another way that we can help with energy levels, and in Action Cancer we have therapists who are qualified in the area of aromatherapy. We would use oils to help both with relaxation, to help rest and restore the body, and also using blends that help to pick up the energy and stimulate and help people have more energy to do the things they need to do. A lot of health food shops stock aromatherapy products that are already pre-blended. So for example, roller balls that are maybe designed to help relax the body and mind, and also ones that help to pick up energy. If you want to find out more about aromatherapy, we do have a separate talk on that topic. So when people are fatigued, one of the important things to do is to look at their activities. So what is activity? It's basically everything that you do from you get out of bed in the morning until you go to bed at night. So even to the very small things that we do, these are all activities. And every activity we do takes energy. So it's important again to become aware of what activities take a little bit of your energy, maybe those that take a moderate amount of energy, and then those that take a lot of energy. So once you become familiar with the ones, particularly the ones that take a lot of energy, then you can start to spread out those activities during your day or during your week, and that way you'll manage your energy levels better. So it's also important to recognize that we don't have to do an activity all at the one time. So we start to learn as we manage fatigue that it's possible to break down the things that we do every day into smaller chunks. So for example, if getting showered and getting dressed and all of that takes a lot of energy, you might break it down and do it bit by bit with rests in between, maybe sitting with a cup of tea after you've had the shower, and then going back maybe to put on makeup or to dry your hair and finish getting dressed and getting ready. So this knowledge helps with planning, pacing, and prioritizing. And these are the 3 Ps that we would talk about in fatigue management. And while they seem quite simple, they can be really useful to be aware of whenever you're planning your day and helping you to cope with the fatigue that you're feeling. So this is a list that shows sort of the everyday tasks that we do, and some things we do every day, some things we maybe do on a weekly basis, and others maybe every month there are things that we need to do. So again, it may be useful to, with a pen and paper, note down the amount of things that you do. It might surprise you actually how much that you are doing in the day without realizing it. And take time to actually look at the activities that you are carrying out and work out whether they take high, medium, or low levels of energy for you. This chart shows what they call boom and bust, and it is a pattern of behavior that a lot of people with fatigue get into. So they find a day where they feel well and their energy levels are high, and they do lots of different things during the day because they're not sure when they might get another good day coming. The result of this, however, is that very often they are exhausted, and maybe for a day or several days, they may need to rest a lot before they get another day that they feel like they have enough energy to get back into doing what they normally do. And this is why we call it boom and bust, or peaks and troughs in the activity levels. So it's really important to acknowledge if this is what's happening for you at the moment, and to then look at what we are going to cover next to see how you actually plan, pace, and prioritize to avoid this pattern happening. It makes it very difficult to plan your week if you're in this pattern. So prioritizing, as it suggests, is really looking to see what is it that's important for you to do. It's difficult, but when you're fatigued, it is not possible to do everything that you maybe would have done before all of this. So take time again to, when you're deciding on what you need to do during the day, to actually prioritize what is important for you to achieve in that particular day, and what can be left undone. Remember to include things that you enjoy. Often these can be left behind because you feel you have so little energy, you need to do everything that is a must do. But by having things that you enjoy, it can actually be a way of helping to restore some of that energy that has been depleted. And delegation, while it's hard to ask for help sometimes, can be very useful at this stage to help you manage your fatigue and to have as much energy as possible for the things that need to be done. So planning. When you're planning your day or your week, try to be realistic in the goals that you set for yourself. Set achievable, realistic goals. A diary can be very useful in helping you to plan out your week, and ask if you really need to do a particular task on that day or during that week, and if not, take it off your plan. If you can, be flexible and leave the plan open so that there's some time free to rest and recuperate. The diary or your way of planning should include time for rest so that you're again restoring energy as well as using it. And mix up the heavy and light activities. So things that take a lot of your energy, spread those out during the day, during the week, and put in lighter, more enjoyable things in between times along with rest. So pacing then helps to give more energy. And this means that you're really taking time to understand what way you can organize your activities so that they don't exhaust you. A useful thing to do is to concentrate on one thing at a time rather than scattering your attention on doing lots of things at the same time. Try to break down the bigger activities or the more energy consuming activities into smaller chunks. And think about where you're positioned when you do your everyday tasks. So for example, you might sit to complete part of the task. Maybe when you're making dinner, that to sit and prepare the vegetables saves you some energy, so that later on, whenever you're making dinner, then you can actually stand and at the cooker and cook whatever it is that you're preparing. Try to get things organized in your house if you're feeling very fatigued, that everything is close by. So it may take a little bit of reorganizing in your kitchen or in your bathroom so that you're not spending a lot of time gathering the things that you need, but they're very close to hand. And again, the flexibility, it's difficult when you can't do everything that you used to do, and that can lead to a lot of frustration. But if you can introduce some flexibility and allow yourself some space to know that you may not achieve everything that you would like to in a day, then you're less likely to be beating yourself up at the end of your day. Resting before you get tired, so trying to stop yourself from keeping going until you fall with exhaustion, and building in regular rest during the things that you do. It's not what we normally do, but when energy levels are low, it makes sense to take some rest periods during everyday activities. And the length of that rest really depends on you and how much time that you need for that rest. So rest can include relaxation, meditation, mindfulness. It might be sitting on a comfy chair with a cup of tea or coffee, and maybe lying on a bed, just taking some time to let the whole body relax during your day might help to rest and restore your energy. There's a quote here from a client. So some people see resting as a passive activity. I see it as a proactive health strategy. Rest is my best medicine. So it's maybe seeing rest as an important part of your day until your energy levels start to rise. And this chart shows sort of the difference between when somebody uses pacing, so their activity levels remain on a steady level, making it easier for them to plan what they want to do in a day or a week. Below that is the boom and bust, or the peaks and troughs in activity. So a good day, lots done, but then for several days or maybe a couple of days not being able to do very much because they're exhausted. So you can see with the pacing, it's probably more satisfying to pace things out and therefore get sort of an even amount of things done across your day, across your week. So using a fatigue diary or just a normal diary to help you with this prioritizing, planning, pacing can be very useful. You might use it to help you get an understanding of your levels of fatigue as the day goes on. So here we have another way of rating the fatigue, and 1 being where there's no fatigue and 6 being extreme fatigue. So maybe that in your diary for a few days or maybe for a week, you just note down the number that shows the level of fatigue you're experiencing in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and maybe at night. So if you're using a diary to sort of help you with the fatigue, make it easy to use and meaningful to you, because you're more likely to use it. So don't make it complicated. You might use it to note down over again a period of time what activities you've carried out during the week, and maybe the level of fatigue alongside that. Just really to give you the idea of how does the activities and the fatigue, how they relate. With the diary, it may be that that's a useful way of helping you plan out when you have rest periods and activities that restore your energy, really as a reminder for yourself as you look through the diary to plan these things into your everyday life. And you can also use the diary to notice if there are things that help whenever you feel fatigued, or things that maybe make it feel worse. So it's like using the diary to build up a picture so that you can develop the strategies then to help you manage this fatigue. At the end of the week, it's useful then to sit down with the diary and have a look back, really again to understand if there's any patterns or connections between what you're doing and how fatigued you feel. We've put in gratitude here because often we can get caught up with the things that we don't get done in a day. So it's often very useful to our nervous system to acknowledge, rather than the gaps and the things that haven't been completed, that we acknowledge the things that we have achieved, and just allowing ourselves to feel positive about that can really again help to break into that cycle of negativity that can come when you experience fatigue. So this is just an example of a diary and the things that you might actually record. So I've just put it on a sheet with all the days of the week and breaking it into morning, afternoon and evening, and just some ideas. So maybe looking at energy levels at these times of the day, what activities you did, what food maybe that you ate, what rest you took, and what things maybe made your fatigue better or worse. And you don't have to record all these things. It's just really looking at, well, what parts of this would help me get a better understanding of what can help me manage with this fatigue. So let's take a little pause. There's been a lot of information there. So very important to take time in the day to actually pause and be present in the moment. So I'm going to offer this, and you can simply listen to it or take part or skip on in the video. So you can either stand or sit for this exercise, and take time to feel your feet on the ground. So whether you're sitting or standing, really feel into the sensation of your feet in contact with the ground below you. So often we become very caught up in our thinking and our busy minds. And a way to help us get out of this busyness is to feel our feet in contact with the ground below us. You might take a little rock through your feet. So maybe whether you're sitting or standing, just moving your weight towards the toes, then rocking back towards the heels. And again, sensing the full surface of your feet against the ground below. You can also move a little bit from side to side and maybe circling on the feet. Even if you're sitting, just moving in a small circle to help you feel your body and move into the present moment rather than being in the busyness of your mind. And then if it feels okay for you, imagine using your mind as a way of becoming aware of your body. So like a body scan, starting from your feet, just sensing into the feeling of how your toes are, how the feet feel, not trying to change anything, simply feeling into how they are. Sense into your ankles, into the lower legs. Feel what's going on and around your knees. Sensing into your thighs. Feel how the hips are. Check into the torso, so the back of your body, front of your body. Sensing into your shoulders, into your upper arms. Feeling your elbows, your lower arms. How are the wrists and the hands, fingers and thumbs? Check into the feeling of your neck and your throat. And sense into your face. How is the face feeling? Is there any tension in the jaw? And again, checking how the head as a whole feels. So the body scan is a way of helping us be present to how our bodies are, and helps us to maybe leave the busyness of our mind for a little bit to actually be present in this moment. Then the invitation now is to place your hands in the center of your chest, if that's comfortable for you. It may be the center of your chest. You might feel more comfortable to place your hands on your belly. And start to feel the sensation of your breath coming into your body and out of your body. So any sense of wanting to rush through this exercise or any busyness, see if it's possible to let that busyness go just for these few minutes. Anytime your mind wanders, bring it back to the sensation of your breath coming into your body and leaving your body. Allow yourself to have this time to pause, to rest, and restore your energy. So there are many ways to relax our bodies, and these simple suggestions are ways that help to bring us present into the moment and help us just to pause maybe in the busyness of our everyday lives. So why is it important to relax? It's not an indulgence as we might think of it. It's really important to have relaxation in our lives because it allows our bodies to heal. And with our relaxation, whatever it is that helps you to relax, this is important because it helps to activate what's called the parasympathetic part of your nervous system, or as it's known, the rest and digest side of your nervous system. So through relaxation, we can help to reduce anxiety. It can help you to relax the muscles in your body. Sleep can be improved if we introduce relaxation as a regular feature in our daily lives. Our digestion can be helped if we take time to relax. A lot of people find it helps them feel better able to cope with what is going on. It is soothing for your mind. It helps our emotional state, and concentration and problem solving can also be helped if we take time to relax and allow our bodies to restore our energy. So again, when we're fatigued, it is difficult sometimes to prepare food. So looking at ways to get as good quality food into your body as possible is worth taking time. So here we have sort of the healthy plate guide, and it's just taking time to sort of look and plan when you do have energy to plan out your meals in advance. Sometimes people find it useful to cook in bulk, so freezing then batches of food so that on the days when their energy is less, they can then pull the food out of the freezer and all they need to do is heat it up. Obviously looking at things like prepared vegetables, there are many ways to reduce the amount of work in the cooking, but try to make it something that's important to you to get food that helps to build up your energy and restore that part for you as well. Hydration is obviously important. Sometimes we don't really drink a lot of water, and that also can contribute to fatigue. So try to have not lots of water, but to have it like steady amounts of water during the day. And alcohol, while it may feel like it helps to relax before bedtime and maybe makes you feel like you can fall asleep easier, it is recognized that alcohol generally disturbs sleep. So therefore it can lead to actually less energy the next day because you haven't had restorative sleep. So just being aware of that and making sure you're keeping well hydrated. Exercise is also important whenever you're fatigued, and it is hard sometimes to get motivated if your energy levels are low. It can be hard to get motivated to go out and exercise. If you're not sure about what exercise you're able to resume, feel free to talk to your healthcare team about that, just to have a chat about what is okay for you to start again. And just avoid, if you can, sitting for long periods of time, as this can lead to stiffness in the body and also can reduce your energy levels. And try to sort of be aware of the times that you feel well rested. This is a good time to start introducing a little bit of exercise into your daily routine. Start with a small amount of exercise and then gradually increase that as you start to feel a bit more energy and feel fitter. And using pacing during the exercise is a good idea. So taking rest before you get tired, it might be useful to go walking around your house initially, where you know you have different places you can sit and rest. And you might progress then to walking in a park and allowing yourself then time to rest along benches, if there are benches to sit on along the way. And being in nature can be a really good way of helping to restore your energy. So considering ways of getting out into nature, and even if it's to sit out in nature and have a short walk to get there and back again, can be really beneficial to your energy levels. Sleep is obviously very important when you don't have a lot of energy. So again, this is not rocket science, but sometimes not a bad idea to have the reminders. So they do suggest that going to bed and getting up around the same time every day can be a useful way to establish a good bedtime routine and sleep routine. Avoiding naps during the day if it's possible. Now, sometimes if you're extremely fatigued, you may need to lie down and have a rest, but try not to make it for too long. And especially if you find it doesn't help you getting to sleep or stops you from sleeping well, then just look at keeping the naps to a minimum. If your mind tends to be very busy in the evening, just getting a pen and paper and making a to-do list can be useful in unclearing that busy mind. Exercise during the day, but if you can, avoid vigorous exercise before bed, because it's unlikely you're going to feel ready to go to sleep if you've just done vigorous exercise. Sometimes people find a warm bath, not a hot bath, can help your body get to a nice temperature that helps you feel more relaxed and ready for bed. If you can, avoid screens before bedtime, so your iPads, your phones, your television screens, trying to avoid looking at those too close to bedtime can be helpful. Keeping your bedroom only for sleep, so that you're associating it with sleep alone and not bringing in bits of work or other things that you like to do, again, sort of sends the right message to your body that the bedroom is for sleep. Avoiding caffeine and large meals close to bedtime, so you're not being kept awake by the caffeine or feeling too full. And reading or listening to music might be more useful to you before bedtime than being on gadgets with screens. We have some relaxing apps in a couple of slides' time. So again, there are lots of apps and relaxation websites and all of that available nowadays. So we're really worth exploring those, so that might be what you do before you go to bed to help you relax and fall asleep more easily. And they do say that rather than if you're lying and twisting and turning and can't sleep, that it's a good idea just to get up and do something that's quite low key and relaxing, so that you get to feel more tired again and then go back to bed. So Bach flower remedies, we also offer these remedies in Action Cancer. They are available in health food shops as well, which is why I've included them in the talk. And there is a website which I have put the address on here. And if you want to find out more about the Bach flower remedies, you can look up this website. And we also have a presentation on our website here about Bach flower remedies, so you can find out more about them. So just to highlight a few remedies that may be useful to help with fatigue. So there are 38 of the Bach flower remedies, and they are natural remedies. The idea of using Bach flower remedies is to help balance the emotions. So for example, if you're experiencing fear or anxiety or tiredness, if your confidence has been knocked, if your mind is very busy or you feel like you worry a lot, there are remedies that help with all of these emotions. You can use up to 7 of these remedies at the same time. And to use them, you put 2 drops of each remedy into your drinks and sip those until the emotions settle down. They are safe to use alongside medication, and they're available from most health food shops. So I've highlighted a few of the remedies that might be worth considering if you are experiencing fatigue. So we have olive Bach flower remedy, and it is for that feeling of exhaustion. So whether it's mental or physical or both, it helps to balance that exhaustion. Hornbeam is another remedy, and it helps where you feel exhausted at the thought of doing something. So again, might be useful if when you go to do something, you feel so, the thought of it makes you feel so exhausted, it's really hard to get started. Elm is another remedy, and it's where you feel overwhelmed by everything you need to get done. So that feeling of being so overwhelmed and you can't get started because it just seems like there's so much you need to get done. White chestnut is a remedy that helps if you're disturbed by a busy mind or worry. So again, if your mind is really active at night and it's stopping you from sleeping, it might be worth considering white chestnut. Other remedies that you might consider are oak, which is if you're the type of person to struggle on even when you feel exhausted, then oak might be worth trying. Mimulus is where there is fear and anxiety, and if that fear and anxiety is adding to your fatigue, it might be another helpful one. Century is one for those who find it difficult to say no to others and thus get exhausted because they're doing too much. Vervain, if you're the type of person who becomes quite enthusiastic about things and that leads you to overdoing your everyday activities and then ending up adding to the fatigue. Red chestnut, if you're worried about others and that is tiring you out. And clematis, which if you feel quite daydreamy, sometimes when people are fatigued, they feel quite daydreamy and like they're not really feeling connected to their body. So if that's how you're feeling, clematis might be worth considering. So feel free to look at the website on a few slides back if you want to find out more, or on our own website about the Bach flower remedies. And emotional freedom technique is another technique that we work with in Action Cancer. So again, we have a video on this, so if you want to try it, feel free to explore that video. A little bit about it, so you get to check it out. So emotional freedom technique is based on the same principles as acupuncture. And in acupuncture, the therapist will work on what are called meridians or lines of energy in the body, which you'll see in the chart on this slide. So there are little points, you'll see the dots on the chart, and it is some of these points that we work on EFT. But rather than using needles, we use tapping on these points. The idea of working with the tapping is to help release blockages and allow the energy to flow better in your body. And we can use EFT in many different ways. We might use it to help with relaxation or with sleep. It may be to help increase energy levels and to address emotional issues. When we're working with the tapping, we choose a setup phrase, so the client decides on what the phrase is. So for example, it might be, I want more energy. And before we start tapping, the person rates on a scale between 0 to -10 just where exactly the level of fatigue or whatever issues been working on, where they would rate themselves on that scale. After a round of tapping, then they use the scale again to determine if there has been any change. But if you're interested in finding out more about the EFT, feel free to check out our presentation on this. So here we have some useful apps and a book called The Stress Solution. Again, just for reference, there are many apps and books available nowadays to help manage stress, to help work with relaxation and mindfulness. I have put on an app here called Untire, which is one that is specifically designed to help with cancer fatigue. So again, maybe worth checking that out. So feel free to explore these. It's really useful to build up your resources and ways of looking after yourself at this time. So acknowledging everything that you've been through and using as many resources as possible to help you get through it. And finally, this is a list of the therapeutic services available at Action Cancer that may be of use to you if you haven't already availed of them. And these may be useful in helping you to manage your fatigue. So we have complementary therapy, we have counselling. These services are available to children over the age of 5. We have acupuncture, scar therapy, yoga, Pilates, life coaching, the Positive Living Program, which is a group program, and peer mentoring. Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope that there has been something in it that is of use to you in managing your fatigue.